Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for attending today's webinar. We have a lot of stuff to cover, so if you haven't met me, my name is Paul Lesher. I am George's son, and I will be doing today's webinar. Today, we're going to talk about the updates. We're going to show off some of our new windows that we released last week. Also, how to change account numbers, because I have heard that there is some changes to in the accounting manual. So I'm going to show off a couple of different ways you can change account numbers in ProFund. And then also, we updated our FEMA reports. So Brett will give a short presentation at the end on our new FEMA reports. All right. So to get started, we released a pretty significant update last week. So I'm going to go through what we did, highlight some of the things we did, and then I will show them off in ProFund. We fixed an issue in fixed asset calculation where if your in-service date or purchase date were the second half of the month, we were not correctly calculating the number of months left. It was assuming that there was an additional month of depreciation calculating when there really wasn't. So we fixed that. If your fixed assets in-service date was in the first half of the month, then it worked correctly. We did update all the help files to reflect the new windows, as well as changes we had made to other windows that the help file had not gotten updated. So the help file should be pretty close to up to date. If not, it is. In financials, we did add a checkbox to allow adding accounts opposite. So obviously you can now add an expense to a revenue or a revenue account to an expense. However, it's not in there yet, but we are going to add in the condition where it has to be a seventh level account. We will not allow sub accounts to be added to the budget. Yep, the next will only allow the override at the seventh level. So there's some other issues we came across trying to do at any sub accounts. So we're just only going to allow it at the seventh level. We also removed the ability to set font size. It was causing some issues within our software. So instead of our own, we now honor whatever you have in the Windows display font. So that's what we now honor. We'll cover this towards the end, but we did update the FEMA labor summary report to match the FEMA form. Another change we did was we added keyboard shortcuts to all the maintenance windows that have a toolbar at the top. So if you hover your mouse over the shortcut, you will see, hover mouse over the button, you'll see the shortcut. And so if you get used to shortcuts, we have added those. One of the bigger changes that we did that's kind of more behind the scenes is we replaced our old email sender with a brand new email system we support now emails with several different credentials. We now support Google and Microsoft, SparkPost, or SMT credentials. If you're not sure what all those are, that's fine. But you can now use Microsoft or Google or Gmail to send emails. We removed the email server tab. So now when you select what provider you want and all the information, you can fill in all the information right there. We no longer have the email server on one tab and then the email user on the other. We converted all the email server and user profiles from the old system. They're converted to SMTP profiles in the new system because that's what they were. So all that was already done. You guys should not have seen it and noticed any difference, but that has been changed. We also added a default SparkPost email account to use. I believe it's called no reply at profundaccounting.com. We added it as a default one in case if you can't get your email provider to work, you could just use that one. You can't edit that one, but you can use it just fine. There shouldn't be any issues with sending emails with that one. That's one that we created that we use. We did release the Act 51 report menu item as a helper for the Act 51 report. I have showed that off in previous webinars, so I'm not going to show that off too much today. You assign account numbers to Act 51 lines in account maintenance. In the tools module under utilities, we added a change Act 51 assignments. So what that'll do is that will clear all your Act 51 assignments or fill in. We'll have two buttons, one that will fill in the unassigned accounts with our default lines. We have a bunch of default lines that Brian, the former finance director at Chippewa, helped us come up with a map for those. Um, they may not work for everybody, so you may have to go into AccountMate and assign account numbers on your own, but at least you'll get a start with that one. And if you have any questions or issues with that, please give us a call and we'll be more than happy to walk through it. We updated several windows to our new style, payroll fund breakdown, renumber payroll checks. The employees, we broke off into two separate forms. The view current employee events is a new window, and then a brand new window, the employee comp package, is the deductions, benefits, and banks areas of the old employee. So we had decided that it'd be best to break those two up. We got several people asking to break those two up. So we decided that we are going to break those two up into, so now the employee side handles all your HR stuff and your employee comp handles your bank's benefits and deductions. We updated the pay stub export to accumulate the bank balances through the high earnings date of the selected payroll and not the pay date. So now you're now on the pay stub, it'll show the bank balances through the high earnings date of the selected payroll. We did add a new employee history report to show the new employee history that you can enter in the employee window. I'll show that off when we get to the windows, but we did add a new employee history. So you can take a snapshot of an employee, their rate, their job status at any time, and it'll save it so you can have it for future use. And the first thing I want to highlight today is I want to highlight the new email provider. So if you look and you go into messaging, you'll see it is a whole a new kind of a new screen. There's no two tabs here, it's just one. You choose what email profile. Like I said, we got Gmail, we got Microsoft, we got SparkPost, we got SMTP. So if you choose Microsoft, you can sign into your Microsoft account. You can specify CC address, and then this will share the profile with everything. So, and then I believe you could do a Gmail, same thing, sign in to your Gmail, and it goes through the whole Gmail sign-in process. And we did get our Gmail and Microsoft accounts verified by those companies, so you should not have a problem. This is the default one, the no reply at message.profundaccounting.com. So if, like I said, if you can't get any of them to work or you just want to use our default one, it's there. You could specify the call log and the export to be that one if you want. And then here's one of our old email addresses that got converted. It is an SMTP. So you have a Spark post, uses an API, and then SMTP is just what SMTP is what we had before. So it's just that the server is it's all one profile. So it's a little easier to enter in. So that is our new emailing system. It should be a lot better because now you can use your own Microsoft and Google account. And also, if all else fails, we do have our own defaults, one that should work. I will just highlight the Change Act 51. It's a very simple one. Clear Act 51 assignments. We'll clear them. We'll clear all your assignments and everything, so there'll be no assignments. And Phil will just fill in the missing ones, with your with our default ones. It will not overwrite what you've already done. Now, new windows. This is the main part. Is we broke out the old employees into two separate windows, employees and employee comp package. The employees, it works the same as the other updated maintenance windows. It has all the regular buttons, the new, delete, refresh, doc, first, last, previous. We added a section in the employment tab to keep track of an employee's employment history. The My Work tab has the clear password button and the passcode field. Before, I think there was a drop down where you went up to the utilities and clicked the clear password. Now we just added it as a button in the My Work tab. The fields are pretty much the same fields. We didn't really change much the fields. We just changed the layout. So there's not a ton of new fields. We only added a couple of new fields. We added the miss note 4 and 5 to events include and the miss note date 4 and 5. So we did add a couple of miscellaneous notes to events. So I'm gonna go ahead and show it off. I go into payroll. I go to employees. So it works the same as the old. You have your employee, you have your organization email, your personal email, and then you also have a payroll email. And the payroll email is the one that the export pay stubs uses when it sends out. You have your personnel file with your status, pay code, all the fields. Here's all your specialty flags, pay code, number of pays, billable rate, all your miscellaneous dates, and things. Like I said, nothing should change there. The biggest one is on the employment tab where you have your rate, your labor, your bargaining, and all that. You can now you can specify an effective date. So let's say October 6th, I want to capture it. And you can click history entry and save. And this will add this as a saved record. So there'll always be the record of this employee and what on the entry date and what effective date that their job and rate and that's so now we now keep track of history. And the only thing is you have to do it manually. We don't do that automatically when you make a change. But if you want to capture a snapshot of their history, you can now. And again, we have a report that will show that history of an employee. So you can now keep track of their employment history and how it changed over time. You can see their rate history and all that. Insurance, there's not much change. My Work, obviously we have the clear pass, the clear user's password. So you can, if somebody gets locked out of their My Work account, they can clear it. Same as before, there's their passcode, their 4-digit PIN. FMLA hasn't changed the date. You can just enter in the dates. Overtime, you got your notes field, got your events. Like I said, we added Miss Note 4 and Miss Note 5. So we had 3 before, now there's 5. And then your dependents. You just click add dependent and then you type out the information. And then you have your dependents added to the list. So, oh, and employee number, first and last name are all at the top now. So, and like I said, the search window's the same. You can filter. We have the limit. I believe the limit is based on status. So if they're inactive, it hides the status. So you can also filter by type, filter by name. If you're just searching for an employee number, say I want to find employee 100, I could type in 100 and hit the enter key. I don't know if I even have an employee 100. Not this 99. So if I want to type in, let's say 76 and hit type enter, you'll go to employee number 76. So it works similar to all the other maintenance forms that we have. We updated renumber payroll checks to the new window style. It works like renumber payables checks, except you don't select a financial institution. So if you've been using the renumber payables checks, it's pretty much the same way, but you don't select a financial institution. You just enter in the check number. If I go back to ProFund, let me go ahead and close that. Renumber payroll checks. Yep, you can select. You enter in your starting check number here. your ending check number there, and then your new starting check number, and you click renumber checks. So, but the only thing is, I believe they have to be inside the same payroll. So you can't renumber checks that are outside a payroll. Just make sure they're inside of the same payroll. A brand new window is the employee comp package in payroll under payroll maintenance, and that is for you to do your deductions, as I said, deductions, benefits, and banks. So we decided to move it to its own separate window. There'll be three different tabs, obviously the banks, benefits, and deductions. So one thing that is new is when you see your list of your deductions, say, we only show active ones. So all the inactive ones are filtered out. You can clear the filter, but all the deductions or benefits or banks are the inactive ones are filtered out. So if you make it inactive, when you first load in the window, it won't show anymore. So you won't have a long list of both active and inactive deductions. It works pretty much similar to like the old employees where you add in a bank, you fill out all the parameters and then click save. Now you banks and deductions has a history tab. Like before you had a button to see the history. Now it's just a tab where you can view the history. For the bank's history, we allow you to add and delete a manual bank adjustment. So I'm going to go ahead and show that off under setup maintenance of payroll, employee compensation package. And then if you go into, so I have this employee, I'm on their banks. If you see, look at the status, it's filtered by that little there's a little black dot up there. They only have active banks, but you have all your parameters, your earnings start date. And then if you go into the history tab, I want to see the history so I can load the history. There's their history from 1/1 of 2025 to 10/6. And then if I want to click add an adjustment, I choose the effective date. I want to add, about, let's say on the 4th, I want to add -6. And then I could put a note if I want. I click submit. And you see on the 4th, there is an MBA. And then if you want to remove an MBA, you can click on that and it will delete it. And if you try to delete one of these, it'll give you a message saying we can only delete manual bank adjustments. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. But that is how you can view the history and then add an adjustment. Benefits are the same way. I don't know if he has it, but he does have a benefit. So you can set up a benefit on the parameters, click save, and it adds a benefit. Same as the old form. Deductions, again, filtered. They only have active, but if they have, let me make one inactive. Let me go ahead and make that status inactive, save. And now if I close and reopen it, say next time I use it, it doesn't appear on the list. And now you have an inactive one. So it'll hide the inactive one because for the most part, you don't need to see the inactive ones. But in case you want to see what they have inactive, you can. Because obviously you can't delete a deduction if there is a history of it. And with the state, or you have your W-4s, parameters. We also added validation to the direct deposit information. So if you have like a direct deposit, the direct deposit account number does not have any validation, but the direct deposit routing number, if you have one, has to have a C or an S followed by 9 characters. We now validate that to try to stop some of the errors when uploading one of those e-files, those direct deposit files to the bank. If you may have accidentally not had the correct, rather the employee may not given you the correct routing number. So the only thing is if you specify a routing number, you do have to have a direct deposit. We don't allow you to save it. So we want to make sure, I just want to point that out. So, like I said, it's very similar to the other one. We just added a little bit more validation for like your federal. You can still enter in a new, that's the same. You can view a new, you can view the current one. The only thing is, the nice thing is with this one, you don't have to click edit anytime you want to make a change. You just have to make the change. So if I wanted to, I don't know if I want to change. Like if I wanted to change the account number, I don't have to edit. I could just type it in and click save, and it will save. On history, we have a history for deductions. All right, so the one thing we did was the view current employee events. Back here. Instead, before it just loaded the events within the next 30 days. Now you can select a date range for the events to load. When you first click on the window, the default is 31 days, but you can now choose a range of dates you can now select the date range for the events to load. The anniversary and birth dates ignore the year, as those events are reoccurring on the same day each year, so there's no reason for that to be down by the year. But all the other events will only appear if their event falls in the given date range. So, like if they have a physical coming up and it's within that date range of that same year. So let's say like today's 10/6, 31 days is November 7th, I want to say. If they have a physical, say October 31st, 2025, it'll show up. But if they have a physical October 31st, 2024, then that won't show up on the events. Inactive employees, again, are filtered out by default. You can clear the filtered to status column to see all the employees. The checkboxes are saved when closing the window and are now per user and not per machine. The old employee events screen had it per machine. It saved it to a file that whenever you open the window, it read the file. Now it's saved per user. So when you log in as a user, those are what gets saved. So if I go into employee current events, it actually loads. The first time you load it, there'll be nothing checked, so you can check what you want to see. Specify a date range. So I guess 31 days is 10/6 to 11/6. And then you click load to apply, and it will load all the dates. So I just want to see. Let's see. I want to clear them all. I just want to see anniversary, next date raise, birth date, and insurance renewal date. These are all anniversary dates at the top and birth dates. I don't know how many events that I actually have, but if I get rid of birth dates, I shouldn't see birth dates anymore, and I don't. So then if I go to back in there, all the only these three are checked. So it does save it per user. So like I said, it's pretty simple. It's just been updated to match our new form, and now you have a date range. If you want to enter in a new date, say you want October 2020. That's a heck of a date range, but you never know. Because I don't think I have events set up on this machine outside of birth and anniversary dates, which are taken from the employees. There are actually three different options for changing an account number. We do have a renumber and a duplicate, but you can renumber in two different places. We actually have a renumber accounts utility in the utility section of General Ledger, but there's also one inside of account maintenance. What renumber does is it takes all the transactions and references from the old account number that they had, and it will now point to the new account number. So any bill codes you had, any GL trans, payables, equipment, they'll all now point to the new number. So all the history will be to that new account number. You can use this if you don't want to keep any reference or history of the old account to the new account. So that's when you want to use renumber. You just want to completely renumber the account number. So there'll be really no records tied to the old account number. Duplicate, on the other hand, it will take the selected account number and create a new account number. So it'll take whatever you select, you change one level, or I don't know if it allows multiple. I think it does allow multiple level changes. So you can change two levels at once and it will just duplicate that account. What it will not do is it will not update any transactions or references to point to the new account number. So it'll just be a brand new account number and all the references will still point to the old account number. You can use this if you want the history to still point to the old account number. If you don't want all the history to be updated to the new account number, then just use duplicate. We also, inside account maintenance, we do have a modify transactions that will update all the transactions from the old account to point to that new account starting at an enter date. So you enter in the date and you specify the destination account, and it will take all the transactions from that selected account into that whatever account, which will probably your duplicated account. And I will show that. They can renumber and duplicate at any level and multiple levels except the fund level. Obviously, you can't duplicate a 201, so you can run them at any level. And then the account tree will automatically be created if one does not exist. So, for example, if you duplicate a level 6 account and you don't have any of the previous levels, it'll automatically fill out the account tree. So you have your 201, 0, whatever, and so on until you get to that level. All right. I'm going to show that off in General Ledger. If you go into accounts, we have other grayed out, but I'm going to go to this 101. Let me go 103. Do we have a 104? So we go 105. So we have a duplicate. We have this account number. I'm going to go ahead and renumber that account number. And let's see, I want the reference to be 103 here, and I want a sub account of 1. So I'm going to go ahead and hit update. Now, as you can see, my 104, my 20104 is now 0301, and then it added this tree. And on all the history has been updated to this 20104, this account number. And if you look down here where we had the old account number, it is now gone. There is no 7th level for the 201 to the 04. So it'll renumber and you can do it at multiple levels. Now, if you don't want to do all the history, you could do a duplicate. And you say, well, I really wanted it to be account. I need to change this from 0 to a 1. And I want to make it my new account. It's right here. And it also created the 6th level. And because it already has a 203, doesn't need to create those. And then you can also modify. So now I'm on my duplicated account, not my renumbered account, but my duplicated account. I can modify the transactions. Actually, I'd rather go to this account. I'm just going to pick a random account. And if I click modify transactions, it'll modify all the transactions from that account. And I got to select my destination account, which is the account that the transactions are getting saved to. I want to go to my new account starting with October 1st. So it'll change all the transactions from your selected account, which in this case is 2010310, and it'll change it to my new dupe account that I just created. So those are different ways you can update and change your account numbers with the accounting manual. Because I had heard that there's going to be some accounts that need to be updated. So you can do it either a duplicate if you don't want the history to be, if you don't want all the history and references to be updated to that new account. And you can use renumber if you just want to completely remove the old account and make it the new account numbers. And again, if you choose duplicate, you can also modify transactions. So if you happen to still accidentally use the old account for something, or you were a few days late and the old account got used for like a week before you did the duplicate, then you could just go ahead and modify those transactions to use to point to the new account starting on that specific date. The only thing I will say is if you do use duplicate, you will have to update all the references yourself, if any, in like a templates or anything like that if you want to. Renumber will automatically do all that for you. So it's kind of up to you. Those are just two different options that I wanted to highlight today. So, all right. So our last topic for today is FEMA. And before Brett is going to take this over in just a second, the only thing we did update the FEMA labor summary report to match the FEMA form, and I'm gonna have Brett take it away and talk about the changes we made to that.
Good morning, everyone. Paul, if you could copy the reports from the Z Drive to your Program Data Pro Fund report folder, those two reports.
Where did you put them in?
Z Drive under FEMA 2025.
Yep.
There's also 3 PDFs in there we might want to open. And I'd like to give Lisa at Emmett special thanks for helping us, working with us on this to try to make it more helpful for people. The FEMA labor is under payroll and the FEMA equipment is under equipment reports.
Okay, which one do you want to start with first?
Labor.
All right, so if I go to payroll reports.
Starts with FEMA at the top.
This one.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so this will show you a week out from your start date. So go ahead and put a date in there if you would, Paul. And a benefit percentage, we could use 125, for example. That would be 125%. And if you run this, we can compare. Well, you don't have any data.
I don't have any data.
Maybe go back a year or so.
Nope, I don't have any data.
Maybe go back 10 years or so.
I don't know if I have any data. This is one thing we didn't check to see if I had actual data for that. There we go.
Okay. So I can't click here, but if you were to click the second line on that outline on the left, the second line down, well, no, without expanding. Okay, so then go back a page. So for each, and then scroll to the bottom. For each project, we have totals here now, and we total costs for regular and overtime. That includes the additional, if you scroll up a little bit, you'll see the headers. The total cost includes the cost for the regular rate and overtime, along with the benefit, and then the total cost are the two added together. And at the bottom of the report, there's a grand total. And in that Z Drive, there's a PDF if you want to show the FEMA forms, but all the data on this form should correspond to the information on that labor form from FEMA. Which
is either one?
You can open all 3 of them, actually. You'll see clearly at the top, it'll show you your equipment. The other one is the PDF that holds the FEMA rates. I just was going to show that because currently so yeah, you can see that's, I'll give it the top. That's the labor one, I believe. Yes.
Yep.
So you got total, so you can see the headers match what we have in our report now for that report. And the totals at the bottom we have available to fill in also. And we also have it per project. I'm not sure if that's on here, but that's helpful figures. And if you want to, you can leave these up, but if you want to run the equipment one, I'll just change it to, yeah.
Equipment. FEMA equipment summary.
Yep. Same way, it's a week out. Now this report shows,
I'm gonna have to go back a ways.
Yeah.
There we go.
this report shows what is actually posted. Now, currently, our payroll posts will use FEMA rates if only if you have FEMA rates in there and the account you're posting to has the content of FEM. It's not unlike our state rates where you have to have a content of STL and have a state rate in there. We are open to, or we actually are encouraging discussion because we are open to changing this because Frank has informed me that they don't always know when they're posting if it's going to be a considered FEMA or not. And so a lot of people don't have their FEMA rates in there. And so what's going to show up on this report is regular rates. And there's different ways we can handle the FEMA rates without possibly affecting your equipment rental and things like that. So we are encouraging this further discussion on that so we can hopefully have everyone in sync and we can come up with proposed changes because currently the MyWork does not utilize the FEMA rates. But this report, if you make this bigger, Paul, and if you go down to, like, say, click on any of those on the left and then scroll to the previous page, and then you see totals on the bottom. Now the italic total here is just another way to get the total. I was going to talk with Lisa this morning and see which total she wanted to use. But one's a calculated total and one's a summed total. But we've added the totals here at the end of each item here. Very small to read for me. These two reports have both been modified, and I believe they are ready per what Lisa was requesting for phase one of this, but we would like to expand on this further. So again, if we could come up with a better solution to this, we are certainly eager to work on it.
So Brett, I just ran mine, and it looks like it's pulling from my state rate, correct? Because I don't have anything in the FEMA rates and I'm getting rates to pop up. So it must be pulling from my state rate.
It pulls from whatever rate was posted. So if they happen to fall under state, like if the accounts you posted to were STL accounts and you had state rates, then you would have the state rates. If it was just regular rates, you would have the regular rates. Again, FEMA would work if it was posted through payroll post, but you would have had to have your FEMA rates in at the time of the posting, and the accounts would have had to been marked as content FEMs. And so probably unlikely many people have those set up right now like that. But I also wanted to show, Paul, if you could open that third PDF.
The schedule rates.
Yeah, and scroll like to the 5th page. It's real tiny. If you could maximize it, maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do that.
But you can see, I can't see very well on my screen, but left-hand column has a code similar to the equipment code, and so we could potentially import these rates if you can get your equipment code set, which is a field we would have to add if we decide to go that route. We would add a code like we have for the state code, but it would be for the FEMA code, and then we would be able to import those.
I think Emmett just plans to stick with the state rate. I haven't talked definitively to our engineer manager about that yet, but we posted state rate. Brett, on the report that you showed from Cogitate, you have a total on the bottom of yours. Mine's not totaling. I probably just don't have the latest one, correct?
You do not have the latest equipment one, which I can get with you as soon as we're done or whenever you have time this morning or anytime, actually.
Yeah, I can get with you as soon as this is over.
Okay.
Thank you so much for putting the time into this.
Oh, sure, no problem. Like I say, if we can come a plan for future where we can import those rates or come up with a report that uses the rates, even if they're not posted somehow, different options like that. we could make changes that would possibly use the FEMA rates if you wanted to.
Thank you.
So Paul, there's an equipment FEMA form in the PDFs also.
I believe I got it. Now I just gotta flip it. I believe it.
So
Yep.
hopefully all the information needed for this would be on that equipment report, and the labor should be the same way for that. And the third PDF was the actual FEMA rates per code, if anybody wants to see any of those.
Yeah, like I said, we're trying to figure out how we want to do FEMA on the accounting side. So if anybody has any ideas or wants to have a discussion on it, you can always give us a call or send us an email to set up a time to talk about it. We are more than happy to listen to how you guys want to report FEMA, to how you want Cogitate to handle the FEMA, because that's something that we hadn't really gotten into too much. But obviously we have to. So we want to make sure that we're doing it correctly.
So one
Hopefully-
thing I did
Oh, go ahead.
So one thing I didn't ask you for because we were in such a hurry, Brett, was but you guys can see you and Paul both at the top of each FEMA form is our applicant name and then the period covering and stuff. How hard would it be to put that information at the top of your reports? Because right now I'll just fill it out and PDF it in between all these when I send them. But I just didn't know if that was able to be added to your report.
We can certainly look into doing that, and I'm not sure where these other boxes would come from, but some of that information, like the project disaster, is that all manually filled in then?
Yeah, we'd probably have to put it in the specs. It's not a big deal. I certainly wouldn't want you to put a lot of time and resources into it.
Yeah, but like applicant, if that's your
That's just
road
us.
commission name, then we could pull that from settings, things like that.
I plan to use it just the way you have it. I think you've saved me a lot of time, and I appreciate that.
I'm glad we could help, and I appreciate your help working with us to try and improve these so they are more useful.
Okay, Brett, we do have a couple of questions on the report in the chat. So the first,
it's currently it's 1 week from the beginning date. So as far as the dates go, it doesn't have a date range. I didn't think that particular form was looking for more than a week. Am I incorrect in that?
yeah,
Julie, what I did is our payroll week runs from a Monday through Sunday. So I picked the Monday and it would give me 7 days. So it would match our payroll. Does that help? I plan to send them 1 week at a time.
and also yes, I agree with Charlevoix. That's one thing we were thinking is the effect on Schedule C for the rates. So
Yes, I think I did do some special one-off reports here and there. They would be more probably custom reports for you rather than released reports. However, if they prove to be valuable generically for across the board for everyone, we could look into releasing those for some to be released more for everybody. I did read Frank's note about having it as a report rather than what's posted, and I understand Frank explained may not be known at the time of the posting or not, and so might not be posted with FEMA rates. So if we could develop a report that would use FEMA rates and/or the posted rates maybe as a parameter, that could be one option we could look into if everybody thought that that was a better way. Not to mention, as Frank said in his note, this would have ramifications on how it affected the Schedule C rates. If it was posted as FEMA rates, it might affect the Schedule C rates, possibly lowering the rates if the FEMA rates were lower than the regular rates that you normally would be using. Things like that are all considerations we would want to weigh when we come up with our rates for this. So I'm not sure when the next user meeting is, but if that would be a good place maybe to discuss it, and then I can talk with, or all of us actually, we can talk with somebody after that meeting and maybe come up with a plan and get something implemented.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking is get some feedback and then based on feedback, decide of how we want to approach it.
I'll be submitting my reports in a couple of days, then we should be able to get some feedback from our consultant or FEMA on if they were acceptable or not.
Okay, that's good.
And then I can let you know.
Okay, that sounds good.
Julie, have you already submitted your reports, Julie, and they were accepted? Did you work with FEMA directly or ICF? Awesome. Thanks. I might be calling you.
If anybody has anything more to add on FEMA, feel free to type it in the chat or talk. I'm also going to open this up to general questions. If anybody has any questions on anything, then I'll be more than happy to answer them. And if we don't get to them, then you can always either send us an email or get to us or call us.
You are now working smarter with ProFund Accounting. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.